Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nash, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Is anonymous. I really do not know what exactly was I supposed to do. I got married to a very beautiful woman, and when I brought her to South Africa, even some people, they were like, women like this, they are not supposed to be married to men that are poor like you. The first man who stole my wife was a South African foreman because I was working at this other farm, and that was really heartbreaking. I really did not know what to do at that time because for my wife to get hired, the foreman wanted her. I did not know that this was what was going on. They started doing this behind my back until I found out that they were sleeping with each other. The man was sleeping with almost every woman who was working on that farm. I got so angry and I was heartbroken, and I then just walked away. I left my wife there and I started working on another farm. So at this farm that we were working, like since I had a driver's license, I then started driving and I would go into town to different supermarkets, leaving some meat, beef, your pork, and then I would return back to that farm. And you know that once you are given that opportunity, you can make money. My assistant driver, a South African, he was the one who got me into the game. He said that you are very foolish, man. Some people out there, they are making money. Even the driver whom I used to work with, who was a Zimbabwean guy, he was very clever. He would make deals. We would even get our salary within 2 weeks. But as for you, you are very slow. So I then asked him how we were supposed to make money. He had connections. Take for an example, if it is a big supermarket, the person who received the meat will be in connection with the manager on the shift. So what they do is that they use their own money to buy the meat that you would have brought. Let's say that maybe it will be 20 kgs of beef, and they buy that 20 kg of beef or more than that, and then they package the beef. That is the first meat that they put onto the shelves before they put the meat that will be belonging to the supermarket. They even work with the girls that will be working at the tills. They know that when we are selling these products, when they are finished, that is when we can start submitting the money, like it is an operation that they will be running. So I got into that game. We would make money. Sometimes we would bring beef that will be worth thousands and thousands of rands, and we will only get maybe 5,000 to 6,000 rands, until we got even so courageous, so much that we would steal the whole cow. They would slaughter it, and we were in connection as well with the guys that were working at the abattoir at the farm where I was working. The whole cow will be slaughtered, and then we would make a plan so that we can get that meat into the truck without our boss knowing anything. Then we would sell it off. But Brother Nashi, us black people, once we start to make these deals, we want everyone to know. The man that I was working with, who was my assistant, I told him that he was not supposed to show it to the world that we were making all of this money, because what he would do sometimes, he would buy expensive food in town during lunch. Then we will start to eat that expensive food, always on the phone, speaking and speaking on the phone, wearing even expensive clothes at work. Remember that we were working in the farms. One day the boss, he was just joking around with him, and he said, yo, you have a lot of money. How much did you buy this turkey that you are wearing? I still remember that he had bought this other turkey, which was very expensive, and he was using that sneaker to work in the farms. And the boss was becoming suspicious. He would say that, yo, even during lunch, you are eating McDonald's. So he was calculating that this man, he was not making enough money to be able to buy McDonald's each and every day. But when we would go to town and when we would return back, he would buy that McDonald's. Instead of eating the McDonald's in town, he would want to show the other women at the farm that he was making money, dating a lot of women. And then that was when our boss started to track us bit by bit. And then There was this other day we had stolen a lot of meat, so we had spoken with this other man who had a restaurant. He told us where we were supposed to park our truck so that he can come collect the meat, give us our money, then he can go back to his restaurant. He had a chisanyama, that man. We parked our truck and then we waited for the guy. He came with this other baki. As we were loading some of the meat into the baki, we did not know that some white people that were passing through, they were busy informing our boss. By the time that we went to this other supermarket, everything, my boss, he knew what we were doing. We arrived there, we had a whole cow that had been slaughtered that we were supposed to sell to the manager. So the manager, like always, he sent his boys and then they collected the meat first and we got our money. After that, that was when we started to offload the raw meat that were written on the invoices. Like always, we returned back to work. We had a lot of money. The moment that we arrived at the farm, my boss then started shouting at us and he said that he was going to call the police. He then asked me if I was willing to wait for the police, because that other man, he said that he wanted to wait for the police. He was complaining that the money that the boss was giving us was the money, it was too small. That was the reason as to why we were stealing like this. So he said that let us wait for the police. Nothing is going to happen. These white people, they only use us for nothing. I waited until I saw the police van. Then I said, I am not going to wait for this. I ran away without getting paid. Brother Nashi, that man, when he saw me running, he also ran away, as well as the other guys that were working in the abattoir as well. None was arrested. We all ran away and we stopped working for that man. I was really desperate. And then that was when I thought of moving into the location. When I moved into the location, in the same area where I was staying, there was a man who was said to be a very powerful traditional healer. His house was very big, a mansion that was very recognizable in that location. He had so much money. I went to him really desperate, not knowing what else to do. And then the man then said that he could assist me. He would give me some charms if I was willing. I said, willing to do what? He said that he needed me to get my wife into his consultation room, because he had seen in the spiritual realm that my wife, she had some sort of a spiritual gift that he was in need of, but he did not tell me that when he was going to collect this gift from my wife, then my wife was going to die as well. I then started speaking with my wife and I said, you know what, you and I, we have kids back home in Zim with this South African boyfriend of yours. There is no future. And my wife agreed and said that if I was willing to forgive her, she loved me, but she was scared that I was going to beat her up. And I said, you are the mother of my kids. I'll never do something like that. Please come. Then she came one weekend. We slept together and I said, you are not returning back to the farm. I knew what I wanted from her. So I would go with her to that traditional healer, and the traditional healer would give us some herbs to drink. The herbs that he would give me, they were just your clean herbs. But as for my wife, those herbs, they contained some slow poison until she passed away when we had returned to Zim. This was almost 5 months later on. And my wife, when she passed away, that was when I started making money. Brother Nashi, even though I made my own money, but I have no peace. I can't rest at all. I am always restless, especially at night. I can watch movies one after the other, one after the other. My conscience is killing me, and I am scared that I might end up taking my own life because of what my conscience keeps on reminding me. The way that my wife passed away, it was really sad. The doctors even saw that she died because of food poisoning. They tried everything that they could to save my wife, but they could not, because they said that she was bleeding from the inside. It was as if the charms that the traditional healer had given her, they had eaten up her intestines such that they ended up bleeding. She was bleeding from the inside. When my wife passed away, she was really scary. You could not look at her twice because her mouth was open, her eyes were open. They had to stitch her mouth, but as for the eyes, we buried her with her mouth wide open like that. I thought that me doing these rituals, like they say that money will bring happiness, I guess that if it is dirty money, it will never bring happiness to you. I regret what I did. Dear listeners, right there was a translation of a message that I received. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Yo.